Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to check out Harbour. This is a game for 1 to 4 players for ages 10 and up, with the average playtime being between 30 and 60 minutes. So in this game, players are going to be taking on the role of these entrepreneurs that are going to be trying to acquire these buildings next to this harbor, as the name implies. The best way I could describe this game is that, well, let me derail for a minute. If you've ever played Lords of Waterdeep, you'll know in that game that you can put your meeples onto various structures in order to gather resources. And what's more, players can actually buy these structures to call their own. And when someone else uses them, they'll actually get something out of it. Well, Harbour works somewhat similar to that. There's some resource management in that there are different goods that players can acquire, and they'll end up selling those goods in order to buy these buildings. But what's more, when players actually get those buildings, you can land on them with your own meeples, and your opponent can actually use them, just like in Lords of Waterdeep, in order to gain resources or to perform some type of special action. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the components and see how Harbour is played. Okay, so here's a very brief look at the components. We'll start with these player boards here. Basically, these are the entrepreneurs that are in the game. Players will get to choose one at the very beginning. Each entrepreneur, as you can see, there are a lot of them, each has some type of special ability associated with them. Though if players don't want to use special abilities, they can flip them over to the reverse side, and there's nothing listed here in terms of a special ability. Each back is the same, so if I were to flip this other card over, you'll see it has the same portrait here and everything else. So yeah, if you're like new to the game or just want to play like a beginner's game, then flip it over to the reverse side and don't use the special abilities. Otherwise, you want to go through all of these cards and see which entrepreneur would suit you best. Some other stuff to look at here, these are all of the different buildings that are in the game. Basically, players will be using their goods and selling them on this market board over here in order to gain like a temporary resource. There is no physical money in this game, so it's not like you're going to be collecting $10 here on your one turn and $15 on the next turn. No, basically players will be collecting these goods and tracking them on their player board. So players will have one of each resource, so they might have like 3 wood or something like that, or they might have like 5 stone, and so on and so forth. And when they're ready to sell, they'll just simply sell all of that particular resource by moving it all the way off the board. And if the amount of goods that they sell equal to the cost in the upper right-hand corner here, you'll see like one is worth $10, this one is worth $9, this one's worth 10, and so on and so forth. They can actually buy that card and put it in front of them. They can not only use the action whenever they land their meeple on it, but they'll also receive some victory points for the end of the game. Speaking of market, there is a market board, and it'll have one of each of the 4 resources. There is, let me just grab them real quick for you. Okay, so you've got stone, you've got livestock here, you've got wood, and you've got fish. So yeah, 4 resources, and you'll have one each of those resources on this board, and they'll be on these 4 spots here. Now they'll constantly be moving around as players buy and sell resources, so that's something that you'll want to really take into consideration as you're playing this game. I'll show you more of that in a minute here. What else do we have? These are the meeples that players will have. Each player will have 1 meeple. In Lords of Waterdeep, you had like 3 or 4 workers at one time. Here in Harbour, you only have 1. And on your turn, you just simply move one of your meeple here onto a building of your choice in order to activate that building's ability. So yeah, it's a very simple game. There's even a training dummy of all things if you want to play solo, just to get used to the game and how it's played. Okay, so with regard to game setup, you want to take the building cards, shuffle them up, and deal a number of cards equal to the number of players plus 3. So in a 2-player game, you'll deal a total of 5 cards, 2 plus 3, and then just lay them out like that. Then you'll also seed the market. 1 of each resource type, you'll want to put them in a random spot. 1 for the 2, 1 for the 3, 1 for the 4, and 1 for the 5. Each player also chooses a meeple of 1 color, and they'll also get 1 of each resource. Now, they'll have to allocate those resources so that they have 3. So let's say that this clocksman here wants to go ahead and give himself 1 stone and 2 cattle, okay? Whereas this player might want to give himself 1 stone, 1 cattle, and 1 fish. In the end, each player will each have 1 of each resource token, and then they'll go ahead and allocate themselves up to 3 of those resources. Now, before we move on to gameplay, the game does come with some optional cards that you can use. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. Basically, the way these work is, at the very beginning of the game, each player we dealt 1 face down. They can look at it to see what resource they have. There's 1 for fish, 1 for livestock, 1 for stone, and 1 for wood. At the very end of the game, the player can give up that particular resource in order to score some victory points. So, if you know that you have fish here, let's say that I was dealt fish at the very beginning of the game. At the end of the game, I may want to stock up on fish so that I can get some extra bonus points. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so game turns in this game are extremely simple. All you'll really do is on your turn, you'll move your meeple to a vacant building. It can't be the one that you're already on, and resolve its action. So let's just go ahead and move this green meeple over here, and we'll take the action. And the action is listed on the very bottom of the card. I earn 1 stone, and I can buy a building if I have the required resources to do it. So, let's go ahead and give myself 1 stone. I'll move it from the 1 to the 2. So I'm going to do that. And now I can buy a building. Now, can I afford a building? That's the question. As of right now, let's take a look at the resources I do have. I have 2 stone and 2 livestock. Now, the prices on the market are as follows. The fish is on the 2, the wood is on the 3, the livestock is on the 4, and the stone is on the 5. The way this works is this number actually does 2 things. One, it'll tell you how much money you get should you sell that resource, but you have to have that much of that resource in order to sell it. So I would need 5 stone in order to earn $5 for that stone if I were to sell it. So I cannot sell this stone even though I have 2 of them. I would need 5 of them in order to be able to sell that particular resource. With regard to the livestock, it is on the 2 right now, and the livestock on the market has a 4. So basically I need 4 livestock in order to sell that resource and get $4. It's kind of weird. In most games that I've played that involve a market, usually I would just sell whatever amount I had of a particular resource and earn whatever the price is listed there. But in this game, it's a little different. You have to have so much of that resource before you can actually sell it. So once you get around that little quirk, the rest of the game, for the most part, plays pretty easily. So I really can't buy a building right now because I can't sell anything. But if you wanted to, you can go ahead and take a look at the price in the upper right-hand corner. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I did have 5 stone and 4 cattle. Even if I had 5 cattle, it wouldn't matter. You have to sell all of it. You don't get any extra money for selling extra. You just sell all of it. So if I had, say, 5 cattle and 5 stone, I would have enough for 5 and 4. That's 9. So I could buy this building that is priced at 9 if I want to. And because the action here says I can buy a building, I can choose any building that costs 9 or less and put it in front of me, or in front of the player here, and then I can use that building for my own in the future. If the player decides to, or if the other players decide to use that building that I have in front of me, they have to pay a toll of 1 resource, which is pretty cool, sort of similar to Lords of Waterdeep. So let's just say he wants to buy this card. You draw another one to replace it. And then you'll go ahead and just sell all of your resources that you used in order to buy that card. So these go back up here like so. And now the market needs to be adjusted. Okay, so what do I mean about the market being adjusted? Well, the prices will fluctuate, sort of like supply and demand in real life. We used stone and cattle, or livestock in this case, in order to buy that building. So the price is going to go down. The demand is going to go down for that because we've sold it. So these will get pushed over like this. And this will flow up here like this. There are arrows on this market card to tell you how they flow. So basically, the most expensive will now be the cheapest, and so on and so forth. And the cheapest, which was wood, is now the most expensive. So now, players will need to sort of stock up on wood and fish now if they really want to rake in with a lot of money and be able to buy some of these more expensive buildings. Alright, now you're probably noticing that some of these cards have little symbols here, like there's an anchor here, there's like a building or a warehouse here. And the manual, you actually, I'm just going to read this off to you because I don't have a photographic memory, but there are different meanings for those symbols. For example, if you happen to own a building that has this coin symbol on it, coins reduce the cost of a building by $1 whenever a player buys buildings. Coins are cumulative. So if you have a lot of buildings that have coins on them, you can make buildings cheaper and cheaper as you play the game. You've also got these top hats. Top hats allow a player to use buildings owned by other players without having to pay the toll, which is really convenient. The anchor, used to gain extra benefits from some buildings. Anchors are cumulative for these benefits. For example, here's this bait shop card, and whenever you land on this and perform the action, you gain 1 fish per anchor. So if you have a lot of anchors in front of you, then you'll gain a lot of fish. And as far as this warehouse is concerned, players may keep 1 shipped good for each warehouse symbol they own. Also used to gain extra benefits from some buildings. Warehouse are cumulative for these benefits. So basically, if I have warehouses in front of me, and let's say in the previous example I was selling stone and livestock. So if I were selling that, and I had, say, 1 warehouse in front of me, and character cards even have symbols of their own, so you want to watch that too. But I'll take a look at my cards, see if I have any warehouses. Let's say, for the sake of argument, I had 1, even though I don't have any here, but let's say I had 1. Then I would be able to keep 1 resource. So let's say I wanted to keep 1, actually I'd want to keep 1 livestock because that has the higher price. That's $3, and this is 2. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns back and forth collecting these resources until one player manages to get 4 buildings. At that point, each player will take 1 final turn so that each player has an equal number of turns, and then the game will end. Then they'll go ahead and tally up the number of victory points they have from the buildings that they have in front of them, and whoever has the most victory points will win the game. Alright, there you have it, a very brief look at Harbour. It's worth noting that I didn't cover all of the rules found in the manual, but this was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game is played. As far as what I thought, this is a very good game. There is a slight learning curve here, and most of it is with regard to how the different cards work and what the different symbols and icons mean. But once you get used to what all of the different cards do and how they act, the games will start flowing like really quickly. You won't have any problems. And the game turns are incredibly simple. So it's, again, not about a turn being complicated. It's about the cards being complicated in the sense that at first you're not going to know what they do, at least not without really analyzing it. So, yeah, Harbour, do I recommend it? Yes. Honestly, it's a fantastic game, and it's relatively cheap, too. So, if you guys do want to see my full review, you can at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribed to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.